oversight of operators. It's not about, areas that are beautiful. You can now oversight the operators, make sure that arrests are reflective of imperatives in the state. It's a good thing. So, also, as the agricultural complaint resolution, it's not really coming from federal. You can streamline it, localize it, you know your people. You can address their complaints better than any federal agency, right? Next slide, please. And also investment opportunities. One green agribusiness, many graceful underserved areas, distribution factors along private areas, and independent transmission investments. All of these are very next slide. There are some, before I write, I just need to tell you some case studies here. I mean, these are standard. Very good. As far as the IPP, colleagues in Kaduna, Excellent. Just a quick comment about something. I really should welcome you because we are citizens of the same corporate citizens of the states and many of us being in Akwa states very well thinking. This is where the core of our business is. So what I'm looking is for you to host a company with presence as of this morning in 7 countries in Africa. We've had 5 approximately 3 countries that we have positions on having presence in covering more countries. What we aim to do is not just to do business, but to do business and impact society. We like to say that ethics is to do projects that unite everybody to transform. We're a listed company, which was a public company. We have a strong slate of premier musician investors. The core of our business, next slide, is gas. Aside today, the gas that we supply powers up to 20% of our population. I'd like to tell people that there are only 2 non-Nigerian companies whose businesses are fully dependent on the grid. So that positions me obviously to be able to share with them the fact that I decided to find an electrical engineer. So how my business is really quite subject to my very existence. Next slide. So I will not bore us with all the challenges and the details of the nightmare with regards to the electricity sector. But the dysfunction has very many symptoms, from blackouts to news everyday quick collapse to news of hospitals not having electricity to beds that is open. For me, the primary symptom of the dysfunction of our electricity sector is this. There is no other sector that we have in our economy that is completely absent of foreign capital. When you look at the electricity sector, I'd like to share something about the electricity market. The thought that I always say that at any point in time, Nigeria generates, based on who's estimating, about 50,000 megawatts of electricity. 5,000 of it is grid, 45,000 of it is at any point in time. If I have said to somebody this morning, I'm ready to get materials and things like that, at this moment I was speaking, that this place is already on the That is our reality. But unfortunately, the 10% that is collected is driving the flow of the 90% or the 100%. Now, this is the single biggest evidence that the sector is moving. The fact that money is looking at us from outside and saying it is wrong to put money in the sector. So, until second and one of the third politics. And so to transfer from where we are today, this function where we have total dependence on the male inmates PhD system, to the fact that IPC is connected to the grid. So the state has made this investment in IPC. But IPC is not selling the state just because of the way electricity works. IPC is selling the nation. And IPC is paid with no reference to what it is contributing. The electricity supply that is coming to the state is driven by capital allocation methodology, the system of point of deterrence, based on what is nationally available. PhD is hampered with structural and the damage of the done to the balance sheet over time, such that the ability to invest in resolving the shortfalls that we have in the infrastructure has been decided. And finally, we've also spoken about the very cost-effective pricing that has failed to capture the risks and the market structure. So there's a possibility we have to create an island of sanity in this sector. And Akwa Ibom is uniquely positioned to be able to make that happen. When that happens, we will operate like we say at full capacity. And that power will serve the state. For that to happen, we need to secure guarantees to cover the ramp-up period. There's going to be a period of investment and risk where we will not know what the future is going to be like. But investors will make that investment when there's an assurance that if something breaks, we will not go. And on the back of that, we're going to need to build effective public-private partnerships. And we'll talk a little more about that. And implement, market-reflective tariffs. Now, you will note that I have not said cost-reflective tariffs. Cost-reflective tariffs are separate from market-reflective tariffs. And I will explain if I have the time. But it's really important that we begin to move from cost-reflective to market-reflective. Cost-reflective essentially says, don't make money. Market-reflective says, I know you have an option. I know you have alternatives to the deployment of the capital, of which option number one is don't do anything, which is what we're seeing now. Option number two is do it at a rate of return that exceeds the risk-free rate in the country and the sector risk-free rate. So all of these things we need to kind of Now, there are certain conditions actually that would be paramount to us establishing such that capital can reach in and we believe we need to. Number one is where we are today, where we need to establish a clear and stable regulatory environment. The topsy-turvy regulatory environment we've had in the past, and even at slightly caustic regulatory environment we've had in the past, has been very instrumental in choosing capital. We must have predictable rules. Investors must be able to say what I see in the environment is consistent with what I see elsewhere. The regulators must have the pro-market posture, and I do not know how to emphasize this, that for too long, the regulators have thought that their role is advocacy. And whenever a regulator has a policeman posture as opposed to an enabler posture, nasty things happen, which is what we're seeing today. So, the regulator must have a pro-market posture. How can I help you? Especially in the case when we have an excess of capital, we can then switch back to policemen. We have to be performance-focused. We have to understand the principles that are going to drive all the class. The third one is the sanctity of contracts and guarantees. In the early days in particular, people are going to be really nervous when you don't have sufficient guarantees in place, such that when you take the risk, investors are comfortable to take economic risk, but they do not want to take this policy risk. It's they do not want to invest in your state and then look up to more money and you've changed the methodology of your tariffs, you've changed the issue of collections, etc. Those things still need to be developed. The government is not going to be able to do this alone. We talk about the size of the capital. So we what happens when everybody lives to that day? Because the vision is that we will soon be in 24/7. We will not be able to charge the same. We will then need to migrate to a consumption-based system where the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, who only have one phone and one ball, they will pay a particular level. And then when God blesses you and you can add more this from the fridge to it, you pay a little bit more. When God blesses you and you add welding machine and sewing to it, you pay a little bit more. And then when you build your huge factory, you pay a little bit more. That way, we are able to have the citizens support the electricity tariff that we have. And the pricing is cheap for those who are to pay 800 naira per kilowatt hour. So that is what we want to do. Finally, we must have the social contract. The social contract essentially means that it must be clear to people that electricity is a commodity. You cannot steal it. It is not free. It is not provided as a social service. It is not hard. Nigeria is not unique. There are very few countries in the world where the citizens expect electricity to be free. Very few. But when it is stable and it is added to wealth creation, and you guarantee them assurance, they will do. So as I begin to come to an end, let's begin to baseline. How much money are we going to need? The truth is, the numbers are all over the map. And for good reasons, we don't know yet. I have seen numbers from $122 billion to $23 billion, that's very number, to $32 billion. What we know is it's a large number. But the good news is there is more money in the world to fix the migrant sector than we have in Nigeria. It is not a problem. The size of the capital we need is immaterial. It is going to come if we get a few things right now. So what are we going to need to use the capital for? First one, most times when you go to electricity conferences and councils, people talk of generation, transmission, and distribution. That is wrong. Fueling is a starting point, and the last point is connections. And so if we don't think of that arc from fueling to generation to transmission to distribution to cash collection, we will break a system which is exactly where we are today. We do not have enough gas. Gas in the ground is useless to all of us. It is gas that is flowing in pipelines that have been processed at the right pressure that we don't have. I always tell the people that when people say, why is gas so expensive? I'm not saying the gas is free. Gas is free. I will point out to you where the gas is not taking. But the cost of drilling it, the cost of piping it, the cost of processing it, the cost of pressurizing it, the cost of metering it is not free. That's what makes gas expensive. How much gas do you like in a ton? A well that's going to produce 25 million square of gas will cost you $25 million. Rule of thumb. 25 million square and 25 million square will give you $100 million. Roughly, rule of thumb. It's $25 million. So, if we're looking for something in the range of 200,000 megawatts per hour, the number of the gas alone, that's and it is possible. In 2024, the United States added 70,000 megawatts of power. This year, they will have to add 100,000 megawatts. So, all of the problem that we're looking at in Nigeria, all of it, some people are solving it in 1 year. So, these are not things that, oh God, unless we come down to person, we can't solve this problem. That's not where we are. So, we need to revamp our IPC. We need to change the metering. We have to go to prepaid metering. Everybody. 100% prepaid metering. If you're postpaid metering right now, let's sort you out. There is no more the trust for postpaid metering, and definitely estimated billion, and we never know what other than distribution resilience, the distribution infrastructure we have today will not stand the demand that is coming and surveillance. We need to first of all upgrade the things that we have, and then we need to extend it to the unserved. And then how much is this money? I know that I know. And I'm not going to trick you. But I believe it's enough for the to get us to where we want to go to. So, these things are not magic. They need to go down with a smart internet connection and solve Nigeria's problem. It is not hard. And the situation is unique to us. Everybody else, everywhere else is getting it right. So, it is not a difficult technical problem to fix. You fix the cash flow problems, everything else will fall in place. And what I think government cannot fix is what is the political will to fix it. And I think that's what we have in the problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, I predict a bright future for the problem because there is a political will. Everything else will come. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Thank you for having me about politics and presentation. I'd like to just invite Mr. Govt to give his presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, I see that the government understanding existing protocols. Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of Akwa, that's infrastructure credit guarantee company, based in Lagos. We've been in operation since 2017. I've been in Nigeria since 2007. If you want to know about my background, I can speak after. I'm privileged to be with you for the Akwa State Electricity Summit. I'd like to also congratulate the two presenters before me. Great job. I'll have to skip over some of these things. Thank you. So I'll make a first point. When we started in 2017, being quite restricted in which infrastructure assets and sectors and tenors and sizes we could guarantee. And the power sector was quite similar. When it was done in 2025, there are actually a lot more tools, a lot more financiers, a lot more transaction structures, which I will walk you through in some of my slides. So we actually are far more capable today of solving the challenges that we were 8 years ago. The second point here is the top-down investment approach, which Nigeria has used for decades, really has not borne fruit. And that's why the constitutional change was necessary in 2023, and that facilitates this bottom-up investment approach, which really is to solve the challenges in the power space. And I believe the state, as the prior speaker said, is actually perfectly placed to be a model for how this can be solved. Not every state has an existing IPP, a gas, decent metering base. So I believe the state can actually move a lot more quickly and a lot of the peers across the country. Next slide, please. I'll walk through a little about InfraCredit, our role in providing credit enhancements, backstop, long-term local currency demonstrates for infrastructure in the Nigerian market. Some of the energy clients that we supported, when I say energy, you can think of everything from midstream gas down to last mile collection of power customers. There's a slide in here that goes into that portfolio about transportation, logistics, telecom towers, and other industries beyond the energy space. There's some slides in the back. I believe everything will be made available. So the clear slides in the back are around points for whoever is going to be in the initial regulatory body of the state. So maybe those will be useful later. Let's go ahead, please. Next page. Okay. So InfraCredit, we were established by the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority. That's our sovereign wealth fund. We started operations in early 2017, and that's when I joined as the head of origination and structuring, basically leading the transaction side of the business. We today have about $220 million in capital, on the back of which we issue our credit enhancement to investors. The providers of the debt, since we're not a bank, we don't actually lend directly. The providers of the debt are largely the Nigerian just over the last 2.5 years, we worked toward a listing on the Nigerian NASD, the over-the-counter exchange. So we're now regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and that opens up a lot of local financing options for us. So we've added access to our pension to our capital base, leeway assurance, cycle assurance, and Cardinal Snow pension. So we're able to attract a lot more local capital now that we are listed. We have a AAA credit rating. We also have an international rating from Fitch, which is actually above the Nigerian sovereign rating, which speaks to our track record over the last 8 years. Next slide, please. Okay, this is hard to see or impossible to see from the audience, but it basically walks through the guarantees we've issued from 2017 to date and how we've been adding capital over time and also entering into risk-sharing partnerships. So we did a co-guarantee with DSC, which is the sort of successor to USAID in issuing credit guarantees. We've done co-guarantees with Garanco as well, counter-guarantees with Garanco, as well as ATIVI, which is African Trade and Insurance. And over 8 years, contrary to expectation, we've not had any defaults. So even though we've been issuing unconditional, irrevocable guarantees of timely repayment of debt by indigenous companies issuing long-term infrastructure bonds, we've actually not had a default. We've not had to pay out. That won't last forever. Insurance companies have to pay claims. We will also have claims from time to time. The thought around InfraCredit is that when you're backing infrastructure assets, they're not going to disappear. They'll still be there. You can restructure the debt as long as there are truly infrastructure, truly essential assets. We should be able to restructure and recover and keep any losses to a minimum. Next slide, please. We've backed again 300 billion naira in long-tenor debt instruments. The first 10-year corporate infrastructure bond, the first 15-year corporate infrastructure bond, which was also Nigeria's first corporate green bond. That was in 2019. The first 20-year corporate infrastructure bond by the Lagos Free Zone Company in 2021. So again, our role is to catalyze a more dynamic Nigerian debt capital market. On the back of that track record, other corporates have started issuing debt tenors of up to 10 years, even without a guarantee. And before we started, really nobody was doing more than 5 years. So the pension fund sector as institutional investors are becoming more knowledgeable about the opportunities in the real sector and being willing to invest in long-term debt instruments. Next slide, please. Our sector split, we talked about that a bit. Our single biggest client is the Lagos Free Zone, next to the Lekki Port. That's a 53 billion naira guarantee that we issued to backstop 3 debt tranches. We'll go to the power sector now. Let's go to the energy slides. Move it up, please. Go ahead. I think we all know there's 25 trillion naira in assets under management by the Nigerian pension industry. And it's really that's feeding into infrastructure funds as well as the debt instruments that we're backing. We can go ahead. This is the structure of our guarantees. So in 2017, when we started, the power sector was something of a no-go area to a lot of financiers. About $3 billion had been spent on the privatization, if I include the Ibom investment, which was being handed over around the same time. And there was a lot of concern that it was not working out. This was 4 years post-privatization. For the full year, 25,000 gigawatt hours is really not a lot of power. That's the entire grid supply to DISCOs. That's how we usually look at the data. How much are the DISCOs receiving? I don't want to include power that was sent to Benin Republic or Niger. I don't want to include transmission losses. I want to start with what do DISCOs actually receive. They have some technical loss, maybe 6%, but you can really understand how much power is actually getting to Nigerian consumers by seeing what the DISCOs receive. That's only about 2,700 megawatts. That's the average. I know we like to quote maybe peak generation, or we like to quote the aggregate generation, including sales to other countries, That's really the end customer in Nigeria that concerns most of us. At the time, there was uncertainty around the nitro pricing. There's back and forth around the methodology. Uncertainty around how to get a distribution license. A lot of people want to do IPPs, but the environment was, if you even want to connect to a neighbor, you generate for your house, you want to connect to your neighbor, you'd be told you have to go to Abuja and get an electricity distribution license. And they won't issue licenses for most projects. So this was the environment in 2017. I say that because we surprised our own board when the first projects that we brought to receive credit enhancement were all in the power space. In fact, our first 3 guarantees were all in the power space. Next slide, please. So the first guarantee was a company called Biathon Group. They were first-time issuer in the debt capital market. They've been borrowing in local currency from Nigerian banks at rates around 25, 27%. And we were able to refinance that portion of their debt down to 16%. So saving them 11% on all the interest, extending out the tenor of loans that were 3 to 5 years, pushing that out to 10 years, making it a lot easier to service those debts. And also investing in their plants. So they added 7.5 megawatts of additional generation capacity. They also built a backward integrated, building a compressed natural gas plant. Let's go to the next slide, please. Because it's real, I'm happy to show it. And I remember Minister Fashola at the time came for the commissioning of this plant in early 2019, and he said the same thing. We have a lot of talk shops. We complain about the challenges. We must celebrate when actual assets are built and put into service in the country. So this was the backward integration of building their own compressed natural gas plant in Abeokuta in Ogun State. And it's actually been a great thing for the business to diversify away from only power to actually selling compressed natural gas to industries across the Southwest. Next slide, please. Then the second company we backed was North South Power. They run the 600 megawatt Shiroro hydropower plant. This is a grid connected plant, obviously. The same way, if you think of the factory, you have a black start generator. That Shiroro plant is essentially the black start generator for the nation. When the grid collapses, unfortunately, the first power plant, you don't just start all the power plants at once. You have to bring them on one by one steadily. Shiroro is the first plant. So we like to think of it as the most essential power plant in the country. We're happy to help them refinance their debt at the time. They borrowed in dollars. Naira had devalued. And so their debt was ballooning in Naira terms. It's not how the industry should be. Local currency solutions are available. So we help them refinance that dollar debt out to 15 years. And that really enables them to just focus on the business. When you can repay debt over 15 years, and it's in Naira, you're being paid by embedded in Naira, you're paying your debt in Naira. So it really enabled them to just focus on the core of their operation. Next slide. That was also, again, the first corporate green bond in Nigeria. The federal government issued a green bond, but no corporation had. This shows the structure more clearly again. The bondholders are who benefit from our guarantee. It's irrevocable, unconditional. If there's any default, we will have to pay to the bond trustee. So just as the company, North South Power, pays the bond trustee every 6 months for principal and interest, if there's any failure to fund, that's when the credits guarantee gets called upon. And that's how they're able to issue 15 years when nobody had done it before, because you're getting double protection. Both the client and InfraCredit are going to have to fund that payment account, which pays the bondholders every 6 months. Next slide, please. The third guarantee, again, was power. And at this point, even the rating agencies are asking, isn't this a concentration risk? This was late 2019. All your guarantees are in the power space. But what most people saw as something to fear, we saw it as a big opportunity. Nobody's financing this, we can do it. So Gel Utility, they run the 84 megawatt IPP in Port Harcourt Refinery. What we really liked about the project was the potential to bring out their excess power. I mean, they have 70 megawatts of excess power. And 6 years later, we're still talking about how to bring that excess power out, which is unfortunate. But again, it makes sense, obviously. They have the gas connection, they have great availability for the refinery. There is the opportunity to work with Port Harcourt Disco or its successor in River State to bring that out. This one we brought in USAID, now the Development Finance Corporation, to co-guarantee that bond. And all of these were financed by Nigerian pension funds, and they're all pricing like a federal government treasury bond. If the government's borrowing at 15%, our clients are borrowing at 15.5%. Because they're AAA rated, they're guaranteed. Next slide, please. After this, we had to get a little bit more creative. We started guaranteeing, again, telecom towers, transport companies. The next power business was what I would call an SME. They're taking gas that would have otherwise been flared in the Delta, using it as propane, and then powering hospitals and other off-takers around southwest Nigeria. So this is a small debt instrument, but the FMDQ, which is the main debt exchange in Nigeria, they have the authorization from SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, to do private company bonds. Now, this meant that we had to get other investors other than pension funds because they only invest in publicly traded bonds. So asset managers, insurance companies, and others provided the 1.5 billion for this 7-year debt instrument for that propane power business. Now, that company's main business is cooking gas. They last year issued their first bond in the publicly traded side. That was an $8 billion 10-year instrument. And the opportunity is still there. This potential. Can we replace most of the diesel gen sets for telecom towers, for solar mini grids, for corporate offices? Can we replace them with propane gen sets at some point? It's a question. Next slide, please. Solar mini grids starting in 2022. We backed our first client in the solar mini grid space. A lot of these are smaller projects, backstopped by either the NEP grants or the DARES grant. To date, we've backed 3 such clients that have business plans to connect up to 26,000 customers across 17 sites. For these, we actually were able to crowd in funding from SCBO. So these are blended finance. You get the senior debt instrument, 7-year tenor local currency, guaranteed by Infocredit, and then they actually provide a matching fund to these projects that's low cost, still naira debt. So that's another area that has been opened on the back of this collaboration between the federal government and the World Bank. Next slide, please. GLNG, moving to the gas side. Before I even came to Nigeria, I already heard about how Nigeria has almost no electricity and it exports LNG to the rest of the world. Obviously, that makes no sense to anybody in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. But I understood that it was not, when we talk political will, this is a big area. Allowing Nigerian businesses to actually distribute LNG in the domestic market because the market is willing and able to pay for LNG, but nobody could seem to get their input gas agreement approved. I came in 2007. The first company to be doing LNG in the domestic market was Greenville. That was 2019. So when we brought this project to our credit committee in 2020 to back Greenfield's, their new company GLNG, and our credit committee asked, well, how many years have they been trying to get their input gas supply agreement approved by the federal government? We said, well, 10 years. They've been chasing NNPC to get the GSPA for 10 years. But now that Greenville they commissioned in early 2019, and Greenville, again, operates in River State. They bring gas as far as Sokoto and Kano. They had opened up the market. Now that somebody had cracked open the market, these plants could come. So this company was the first company to do a CNG business, compressed natural gas, in 2011 in Ota. They put a second plant in Abeokuta, and they're just about to finish their LNG plant on that site in Abeokuta. So we backed them over a series of debt transactions, over 30 billion naira, and I'm really looking forward to their commissioning around Christmas time this year. And that should give Nigeria our second indigenous distributor of liquefied natural gas. And that's really going to change the market. 10 years ago, the factories in Ibadan were all converting to CNG because CNG was finally available to them. They were happy to ditch the diesel generation in favor of gas. Greenville has been selling LNG since 2019, but as your sole supplier, there'll still be questions about reliability. You can't possibly serve the entire Nigerian market as one company. But having a second player and then a third in Kogi State with Excella and Bua planning to commission their plant, Nigeria should move similar to what happened in the fertilizer space, where we went from producing almost none to now we have plenty and we export. LNG for the domestic market, we should go from none available to actually satisfying the market fully over the next few years, and our client will be part of this. Next slide, please. Getting into greenfield infrastructure, so this is a 30-megawatt power plant. The client is constructing in Victoria Island. They had to extend the gas line from Marina. That same line, now that it reached Victoria Island, they're already bringing that line out to Lekki and beyond. So this is a 30-megawatt plant embedded, working with Akwa Disco, who moderator leads. Slide, sorry. So that is, again, a greenfield infrastructure project, 30 megawatts. We backed a series of funding for that. The next slide. I'm running out of time, sorry. Commercial solar client, 1 billion naira. Again, it's another area where there's opportunity. A lot of banks will sign 5 or even 10-year contractual offtake agreements. The banks are looking at how many branches do I need to replace my diesel generator over the next 2 years. And then they say, can I replace this power solution with a commercial solar option? That's where the likes of Starside and Purana and Daystar come in. So this is a small project of 1 billion naira, just to show another sector. Next slide, please. So a whole other section. So looking at it with a freelance lens, again, in 2024, we're still only at 3,325 megawatts that reached the discos. That means we've only grown our supply to discos by an average of 2% a year for the last 7 years. That's not the path to progress that we need to see. Let's go ahead, please. Move ahead, please. Next slide, please. Okay, again, but what has changed? I've hit on a lot of these. We have far more gas availability than we did before. That's number one. We have result-based grants for off-grid supply. Basically, new access to customers. You can get result-based grant of up to $600 per connection, depending on where the site is. Regulatory changes on the Constitution side, the Electric Power Act, service-reflective tariffs. There was a MERC order in 2020 that said cost-reflective tariff, but the last page mentioned allowing service-reflective tariff. So it was actually a fundamental change, because from that point, DISCO started working with IPPs, so we can work together and sell on a service-reflective basis. And then the availability of long-term funding. Again, we started Operation 2017. The Nigerian Infrastructure Debt Fund, one of the representatives is here. It also started in 2017, and other infrastructure funds have followed. So there's a lot more long-term investors in the market ready to back these kind of projects. Next slide, please. All right, I'll keep going. Next slide. Okay, this is just talking about the passive approach and the hands-on approach. A lot of investors will come in wanting the guarantees, guaranteeing my capacity charge. That's not our own approach of InfraCredit. And I've underlined it here, we look at which customers are you serving. Because it's the serving mindset that enables you to actually hold those customers for 10, 20 years. So we're usually looking at what can go wrong in the entire chain, from gas to last mile service. And it has to be service. Anyone tells me they have a collection problem, I usually throw my hands up. Because you should be able to collect from customers that you know, that you've metered. Generally, you have a service problem because the customers are all calling you to say that the light is out. And that's not how any electricity network should work. Next slide, please. Okay, types of projects. We expect really a ground-up, bottom-up solution. So a lot of urban clusters. You find those customers that you want to serve, if it's Ninth Mile and Ugu, if it's Eco de Pene here. That's one area that we expect a lot of progress. That might be on a franchise basis, might be on an IPP basis. You might be buying from the distro, but but you've supplemented with batteries to make sure you keep your uptime. But you have to know those end customers, and they have to be metered. And that's how, again, backstopped by more available gas, these projects are available. The commercial solar projects, the gas side, we should see pipeline expansion to Ibadan, to Enugu. These sort of opportunities are in front of us. They've always been in front of us. The Ano plant that Seplat is doing, this gas processing plant, is basically forcing the OB3 pipeline to be completed. And that means the whole Anambra Basin is going to be open for gas development. A lot of gas processing plants, and it's going to feed into the factories, the LNG producers, and the pipeline networks. So this is really the time that the gas space is finally opening up. That OB3 pipeline, David Ige used to present the gas master plan in 2006. We're now 2025, but it is finally being completed. And again, I tip my cap to Seplat for pushing the envelope, building a gas processing plant in Imo State, which essentially requires UB3 to be completed. Next slide, please. These are some of the incentives. This is from the DARES project. REA is the implementing agency for this project. They've categorized sites by really the difficulty, the viability. So the less viable a rural site is, the higher the grant can be, up to $600 per connection. Next slide, please. This is Turkey, okay? And I think as much as we did our privatization around the Indian model, at the time India was privatizing, they already had 100,000 megawatts of power. We're a lot more like Turkey. As of 1997, Turkey was still at 20,000 megawatts of capacity. It's really from 1997 that Turkey saw this surge in IPPs and concessions, and within 17 years, they were up to basically 70,000. So we went from 20,000 megawatt grid capacity to 70,000 in just 17 years. That's what we're trying to spark in Nigeria. Okay? I know it might sound fanciful, but for me, it's a 30-year journey for us. We still have to do the bottom-up regional power. We need everyone to have power. It will be expensive initially, running on LNG and solar and all of this. But once you have a fully functioning nation, then the grid can be done at 765 kVA. Then we can put in 3,000 megawatt power plants. So that's really the 30-year journey that I believe that Nigeria is on, and we're really on it now. And I would not have said that 10 years ago, but we actually have all the tools we need now on the regulatory environment to grow. Next slide, please. Okay, and again, this is the model. So this is, I have a caveat, this is my personal view. I don't want to say this is the InfoCredit view, but my personal view is by 2040, we should be up to 25,000 megawatts of grid capacity, 8,000 megawatts of supply. That will not capture a lot of the off-grid consumers. By 2055, that's when we can go with the big solutions. The Benue River has no hydropower plant on it. Cameroon did theirs 40 years ago, but we haven't done ours in Nigeria. Well, am I out of time? Are we good? Okay? All right. And then when we get those big solutions, then that's when we can hit the 80,000 megawatt grid capacity and really change the nation. I want to go to one last slide, page 37, just talking about a virtuous cycle. If you invest more in distribution, you will have fewer outages. Your end customers will buy more equipment, TVs, fans, computers, right? And then you're going to need more investment in distribution. You're going to have fewer outages. They're going to buy more equipment. So that cycle is what we're trying to get going. But you need the right regulatory environment. And the prior speaker mentioned that if you want to just penalize everyone, you're not going to spur investment. That investment is a key KPI. Are you, as a regulatory body, bringing investment into the state? If you are, you see the investment in generation, you see the investment in distribution, and that virtuous cycle will be going. Eventually, some of those big customers that are off-grid will even come back when they see that the environment is working right. So thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone. I've known Daniel for what, 30
so much information to give us today, particularly on what infocredits is doing. I'd like to thank all our presenters. I got so many notes from their presentation. I would have loved to summarize, but I think I would use the panel session to do that Sunday. So I'd like us to just please give our presenters a round of applause as they leave the project. Thank you so much. I want us to quickly jump into our panel session. During the panel session, I'll use the opportunity to highlight some of the very critical and key things they've said. The few things that stick out for me, I think one of them really is the regulatory environment. And without that, they're telling us that we will not see any financiers coming as long as we don't have a good and strong regulatory environment. Let me just quickly jump into introducing our panelists for the next session. We have, and these are not calling in any particular order, I'm just going to say how I have it here. The first person on our panel list is Mr. Ibom Jacob, FCA. He's presently the MD CEO at Akwa Investment Corporation. He was chairman board of directors of Ibom Airlines Limited. He was the president of Akwa Business School and managing partner of Ibom and Co. He's an accomplished business educationist, management consultant, and chartered accountant, having over 43 years of professional experience in the defunct Anderson as a partner in the audit practice with responsibility over the financial services industries and writers consulting as director. He is a certified presenter on financial planning. He was a member of the Ibom Investment and Industrial Commission Council, where he chaired the privatization committee. He has been on many boards of companies in Nigeria and was the chairman of Akwa Savings and Loans Limited and the director at Ibom Power Company Limited, Ibom Airlines and Akwa Insurance Company. He is presently the chairman board of directors of Champion Breweries PLC and Ibom Farmer Microfinance Bank. He is a director at several establishments, including Ibom Hotels and Golf Resorts, Rafia City Hotels, Ibom Modern Farms Limited, and many others. Mr. Ibom is a holder of a BSc, first class honors, and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. These people will just rise to recognize Mr. Ibom. He's clearly a proud son of our soil. Thank you very much, sir. We're honored to have you on the panel. Next, I will be introducing Mr. Ike, Dr. Ike Shioki. He's a group managing director of Akwa Limited, an investment management holding company, active in 7 principal areas: investment, banking, securities trading, asset management, trust services, consultancy, technology, and infrastructure. He is CEO of Triple Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, Chairman Rex Insurance, Chairman Fitness Factory Limited, Chairman Enugu State Security Trust Fund, Non-Executive Director, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, and National Secretary of the Rhodes Scholarship of West Africa, and patron of Bioma Central Education Foundation. Mr. Dr. Ike holds a BSc in Civil Engineering, first class honors, from the University of Ocean State, Nigeria, and attended Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar, where he graduated with an MPhil in Management Studies. You are welcome, sir. I just like to recognize you. Thank you very much, sir. You have such a powerful panel. The next person I'll be introducing is Mr. Obinai Ihedioha. Mr. Obinai is a government and infrastructure finance expert with over 2 decades of leadership experience in product finance, public policy, and ESG. As senior advisor to the managing director at the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, he supported its establishment and contributed to creating institutions such as InfoCredit, the Development Bank of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company, alongside the UK Nigeria Infrastructure Advisory Facility. He also coordinated national initiatives, including the Presidential Task Force on Power, the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, and Infrastructure Master Plan. A Manchester and Harvard Kennedy School alumnus, also serves as non-executive director very much for joining us. And the last but not the least, definitely not the least, is Mr. Abdul Oladapo. Mr. Abdul Oladapo is Infrastructure Finance Lead for UK Nigeria Infrastructure Advisory Facility, UK-NIAF, which advises senior government decision makers and provides technical assistance to federal, subnational MDAs in screening, developing and financing planning smart infrastructure development opportunities across various sectors, including agriculture, energy, transport, and construction. Through his work at UKNIAF, which is funded by FCEO, he leads a team that is actively delivering an investment pipeline of over $1 billion, including the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones program funded by AFDB, ISDB, and IFAD. IREA's Energizing Education Program and Nasarawa State University, my apologies, and Nasarawa State University Trophy Student Accommodation Project. Abdul is also coordinating UKNIAF's work towards shaping Nigeria's climate finance agenda. He's also the managing partner of Multi International, an infrastructure investment and delivery advisory firm with experience in PPPs and project management delivery projects across Africa. Please rise for welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Those are our panel members. I'll just quickly sit down whilst we begin our questions and answers. What lessons should the Bible learn from this national experience? What practical steps can they take to ensure they do not become a baby for stalled or abandoned electricity projects? Well, first, let me make this comment. I think that my needs in officially convince summit because I'm struggling to get funds, struggling to make sense out of the power sector. But today, we are surrounded by the strength of investors, investment-minded persons who have given us not only perspectives, but they also have given us toolkits. Some of them have volunteered to unveil the funds that are at their disposal. So I came here very happy, very pleased that this summit has come to me. Now back to your question, what are the lessons? We as a state government, I think this summit has been one whose time had come. For me, for one, the reform was right. We told in this summit that while the previous reforms, particularly the federal union, failed, was because it was 99% political and 1% economics. We are determined to run it in an interest and having 99% economics and 1% politics. And we heard it from the John Settle by His Excellency yesterday. Our main business, we are determined to turn the course of the right direction. The second lesson, something we've always known, but I think it's starting to put it in a proper perspective, is that cash is what, or the lack of cash, what has brought us down the road. Why? No investor will put a buy if the cash is not right. If the cash is not paid, the cash is not traceable. And so, by mistake in having this reform, it is made to create a market policy of off-grid because Nigeria is an off-grid country. We're going to pick. Last week we were in Abuja signing an MOU with RBA, and the goal has an agreement on the electricity agency that will play in that talk. We're going to engage in renewable energies and I think last week, I'm glad this came through, that we're in competition with the rest of the country for investment. And so if we offer power, we're going to be right because we're very much privileged to have footprints in all the value chain areas. And so we're going to work with our partners over here and offer those insights and shoulders and leading to be the number one state and investment will come. Thank you, Paddy, for telling us that the problem is not moving. The money is there. Thank you.
Paddy's contribution was very, very important and quite important. I agree with you completely. I'll just put through a question to Dr. Ike. And this is just giving an idea of what she said. And my question is around capital mobilization. And there's a huge capital mobilization in Nigerian infrastructure space. That's what the process without sufficient capital, trying to create a sustainable market. It's just like we were trying to basket and expecting to save on the entire village. Many of them don't happen, right? In fact, when Daniela's presentation pointed out that what critical element in capital mobilization that indicated in all Nigeria is this intricate, is this facilitation of over 10 billion naira in Ghana terms, enabling more than 20 infrastructure companies to raise monthly bonds of up to 20 years, and it's supported by pension funds. So this just shows us that how powerful our resources can be. So that we get examples of where we finance and reduce the interest rate, but increase the tenor of the money for those taking opportunities. It's fantastic to be a structure. But as a part of approaches to centralization and sense of electricity market, it's kind of lying there. We are potentially developed the way we do. There's need to explain what the national levels are in the market today. So, I just want to ask, what's specific information financing models or business can find markets to utilize similar revenue and limited domestic capital for electricity projects?
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So in terms of looking at the financing models, I think the opportunity for Akwa is to create an on-grid economy. We've all heard so much about the disarray of the electricity sector across Nigeria. But with the sort of electricity industry regulatory reform that has happened, there's an opportunity for you to create an on-grid electricity market here that works. But at the onset, at the early stage, we will need the state to support this. And one way for the state to do that would be to have a targeted electricity infrastructure plan. So it's a subnational one that looks at, okay, what do we need to do at this early stage between making sure there's gas supply available for the generators, fixing the transmission infrastructure to the mini grids, looking at the distribution infrastructure, and importantly, looking at the metering, where do we collect the money from the customers. And if we start with some of the captive mini grid systems, design a structure where you need money that's targeted to electricity infrastructure. And that's transparent. Investors will have confidence to come into that market because they can see that the state itself is backstopping some of the areas of illiquidity that will happen at the initial stage. Another area to look at the public-private partnerships. Now, with the regulatory environment you established, it's quite possible that when you show transparency and discipline and you're able to enforce the rules you've set, then it's easier to have public-private partnerships among some of the big players in the power industry. We have from Malaysia in this room, and obviously we heard from the two speakers. There are quite a lot of companies that have a balance sheet that are looking for opportunities to participate in states. And from there, you can also look at things like concession agreements, where you say, I know you've got track record, so a company like that in Lagos, coming and take a concession and take this rainforest area and build for something like other IPP, which is a rainforest area where you can just generate the power to transmit it and supply to the market, particularly industrial clusters. What's the one they use to joint ventures? So those sort of four areas will create opportunities to mobilize initial capital to get started at this stage. And once the payment model starts working, what you then see is that private sector people will come in themselves to be able to fund the project on the back of the support and the track record that the state has established. Thank you.
Thank you so much for providing options for raising finance in Akwa. I'll just quickly go to do the review. And the question I'd like to ask you is, again, as people, what is the having said? In a lot of things you make notice as important to the sanctity of contracts to be central to investor confidence. So he also touched on the fact that tariff and the distinction between cost-reflective tariff and market-reflective tariff in his comment. He also talked about how dishonoring contract and how policies and yourself have historically incurred heavy capital from the U.S. power sector. So from the experience of the restructuring, you agree that one lesson, there's two lessons are universal. Investors will only commit to the truth and contracts will be good. So what lessons should governments learn about the importance of honoring contracts and building investor confidence? And what practical mechanisms can be built into projects and financing structures to reassure investors the agreements will be respected over the long term? And what also can, and I'm just adding this additional to the question, and I think that question came to me because I saw the Ibom States regulation. And I just thought to myself, what can require them to avoid that the Ibom States regulatory commission means in setting the time. And my point is that so please, we would like to get some guidance from you. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I think you gave a lot of context in the way access to the question on contracts, sensitive contracts. Investors really do they put money where they trust. It's really about if I invest in this, I can't say this. Do I trust that I'm getting outcome and that? That's very, very important. For example, if we look at the national electricity framework and how it's operated, and that's actually struggling to meet the obligations, that has created significant challenges in the system. Now we transition to state electricity markets as a part of the responsible electricity market. How does it really ensure that those situations are not repeated and investors are actually coming and able to make applications are paid? So there are a number of things that can be considered to achieve this. For example, I'll build on what developing a model and interest in Akwa Ibom State. For example, we talked about an enclave model, which an example is under IDP, for example. In a situation where Akwa Ibom is essentially the state right now, and most states that try to put their interest in Akwa have the advantage of they have a space generator, right? They have ownership in the district. So meaning there is an opportunity here when the surplus created to essentially work with the other states in the region for you to control your district. And then there's also transmission of the Ministry of the Ministry of Power, where there's an opportunity to, first at the federal level, to ensure that the teaching, for example, is able to enable you or essentially establish a sort of concessional transmission sector, because you do have, you're only going to operate about less than 50% of your generation from the for example. So, to be able to create that model to ensure demand is actually you're able to sell out to those that are needed and you're able to pay for it. It's difficult to really actually establish contracts. You might provide all the guarantees, but when you provide guarantees, you will end up owing those providing the power. Because you have to pay them for the guarantees you provide. Whether you try to get guarantees from the credit or you actually guarantee from the state. If you don't actually create the mechanism for the electors to influence the elected to go to consume, it's going to work. So these are practical steps, and this is where some politics comes in. You really have to ensure that it has to be done at the district level gets done. You need to ensure the evaluation of power gets done. You need to engage with the right government players to have that mechanism to do that. But also, to add to that as well, and it's great that we have the Chief Agriculture here. You also do need to have a very strong PPP framework to allow PPPs happen. I think I've looked at the documents for the Akwa Electricity Market anyway, but I'm yet to see a very strong PPP framework. I think it is a missed opportunity. There's a World Bank State Action for Business Environment, Business Environment Reform Program, World Bank State Program, which provides incentives for states to establish their PPP office, their PPP manual, fiscal commitment and cultural and creative framework, which also supports sensitive contracts as well. In addition to that, it helps you can actually get guidance on how to set up a project and facilitation fund, which is important for preparing projects properly and transition that. So I'll ask you that now bit of question. There's been parts around the regulatory committee in one of the comments my colleagues and others said yesterday is the importance of having the right people in office who do your appointments. Because when you appoint the right people, they have the expertise and they can also get advice from the right people to really take their time and unpack. For example, in this case, the times, they really unpack the times, right? And when it's that, they're able to also have the conversation required to be able to establish that the right times that need to be paid. Now, unfortunately, we are in a situation where we do have the state electricity markets have been created, but it does look like they just pushed back from federal. Yes, they do have political market, they have the open Atlantic, there were conversations in the National Assembly to essentially pull back this Ventures Act. So there's clear, again, politics and paid here. But really, that exercise is important for the market because we need to really be able to establish what are, and in this case, let's not say what are market reflective times conversations to be had, these assessments to be done, and then have proper conversations. And I'm not sure be able to sit down with states regulators and walk through this and not do it in public forums. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I like the response to this. I think it's very balanced, and I agree with you. It's important to outside collaboration Thank you very much. I'll just ask Angela a question. My question is just, based on what you said, you talked about the fact that fixing one part of the power value chain, just fixing distribution, fixing transmission is not the issue. We tend to forget that it starts with gas and flows all the way to the customer. And that's extremely critical. And I think that also touches on what Abdul said as well, which is there's also capacity in getting the right people in the right positions. So my question for you how would you advise, because you said fix the regulatory space, you talked about policy, you talked about politics, you talked about those things. Those are things that you can't really control, that's the truth, especially politics. There's only so much we on this side can do in terms of politics. It's just for us to ensure the people as leaders and we move out of our interest at all times. So my question would be, what would you advise Akwa Ibom State to do in terms of fixing the regulatory environment? And I'm talking about practically, what can they do to ensure that the regulators are not policemen? It's a major challenge to have a lot of regulators today. And I'm not even going to, I think it touches almost every regulatory commission that we have today. They act more like policemen as against enablers. And what would you say Akwa Ibom needs to do to ensure that that environment is not recreated? They're investing a lot in this sector. What can they do to avoid that type of complexity? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The answer is actually extremely simple. The answer is based on what is His Excellency's marching order to the Regulatory Commission, which will actually begin when it starts interviewing potential commissioners in the regulation. And the answer is, what is the KPI is going to be? If your KPI is, I need you to get me to 500 megawatts in 3 years and 1,000 megawatts in 6 years. And then he's interviewing directors or commissioners based on 10 million ideas of how to get there. The question changes completely. So the answer changes completely. If you ask, God forbid, that how can you reduce my price from 2 weeks to 160? So it is really around how he steers the thinking and who he selects. If you select people who think that their objective is to reduce cost, you will break the market. If you select people who think that their objective is at all cost to increase supply, you get a better objective.
To clap over there, because that's the theory. That is so special. I think that is it's just the mindset of understand that the KPI is to get power to people. That is what the key KPI is, not to reduce cost. Cost is the cost at the end of the day. When we calculate power, we can then think about how to people don't like to subsidize more again. Thank you very much for that, Paddy. Just my next question, I didn't forget you. Sorry for that. I'm not last time, sorry. So, my question for you is, how can NSI be? And I say NSI because NSI is a powerful institution as well. And we know they have a lot of funds, we know they have a lot of investments that they also done to support the power sector. So my question would be, how can NSI support and partner with Akwa Ibom to improve its market? They've done so much already. You can see they're just ready, they're waiting, and they're looking at what opportunities, what goes out there and support our business. Then Mula talked about loans of 16%. It's not just able to compete. So the guarantees were about 16%. That is how able to compete. And that way, we are able to provide that kind of support to our private states.
Thank you very much. So I think I start with, first and foremost, the Nigeria Investment Authority. We've been very present in our pipeline in the last couple of years. Starting from my right, we invested in Akwa with Southern Energy. Government had some challenges, and we had some challenges initially. We had $200 million invested in that asset, and then we spent 3 years restructuring it for 4 years restructuring it that will have 7 and then we decided to move forward. From an NSA perspective as well, we are quite wrong. We have multiple opportunities now we're looking at various classes of assets. Currently, we're trying to invest in a multi-purpose industry platform, which OCP, which we've had conversations with the regulators and it's going to be going. We're looking at being a big partner to towns for money and to invest in fertilizer in the next couple of years. We're hoping to have an established and completed in 18 months. We're doing direct equity, and of course, we invest across multiple capital structures. We do debt, we do equity, we do mezzanine. It's imperative that Dr. Akwa talked about bonds, and we can look at how best we can participate and invest in the private market sector. We have multiple opportunities where we can invest. We've been talking to our private power company, Ibom power company, I think we started that conversation a couple of years ago, and we're very much involved in moving that conversation forward. So how best do we come in? We can come in as an anchor investor and partner directly with the power infrastructure space. We can come in with the honorable gentleman did mention the State Investment Corporation. We're looking at various opportunities where our investments can be impactful and can be catalytic as well at the same time. But one of the key things that we look at is what are the barriers to enter? What are the opportunities for us to enter? Our capital is contributing, but of course, at the same time, it's commercial. So we want to make sure that there are returns on investment. Yes, apply one all the real estate in Nigeria, shareholders to our fund. But our fund creates a very structured, disciplined approach to investment and return on investment. So what we look at and what we're seeing here is the environment and the opportunity for the clear regulations for the state of operation. And then deciding that on the back of that, we have various opportunities whether it's an event infrastructure, whether it's a power plant or any other activities that the state has established. And like I said, we can create multiple blended financing approach to blended structures that enable those finance to happen. But the key thing is Daniel talked about it here was to set up a website credit. We looked at those dislocations in the market and where we think NSA can play a bigger role. And in establishing a website credit, we look at how best can we structure local finance opportunities and stretch those local finance opportunities to enhance market transfer, bring in additional financing from pension funds and insurance funds and other institutional funds and probably vehicle. So what we're looking at is the partnership with our private state and the enabling environment which we see that creating now, which I think that we'll have direct conversation with the various institutions that we can do and looking at how best we can optimize that. Thank you.
Very much. I think the access a lot of people are ready to come into country, to support the states, and the various opportunities that they are available. I just ask 2 more questions when I'm asking you about this is a very important question. It's one payment assurance. So I'd like to just complete because I feel that if people are coming to invest, they need to be assured that it's assurance in terms of getting their funds back or returns. So how everyone transitions into the state election, question is how to adapt those approaches. The state will need to think beyond conventional models, especially given its unique infrastructure landscape and the need for prayer in seeking transactions. Not every tool and works at the national nursing market will work at state level. So the question is, from the perspective of state electricity market, what form of payment assurance structure would be most credible for a private to deploy in order to unlock large-scale private capital?
I think for the electricity market to grow in Ibom, there's absolutely a need to establish a robust, transparent, enforceable payment assurance framework. I'd like to put on 4 areas that is important. Where is the money? So we need to do what we call an escrow revenue collection method. So any payments coming in from whether it's customers, whether it's coming in from renters, must go to an account and is being managed by reputable banks and trustees. And then you have a waterfall mechanism that you then agree. This bit is going to the bank that provided the loan, so to speak. For example, the state could actually do a bond that's being serviced from that same waterfall mechanism. This bit is going to the power producers, this bit is going to the discos, this bit. So that has to be there. That transparency will engender a lot of comfort, a lot of excitement amongst industry leaders. So that's one. Second thing is that the state can copy what the CBN has done. You know, the CBN has this payment assurance facility. We could set up for the state a state payment assurance fund. So just raise a fund. It could actually be an interest-paying fund that's listed on the exchange. But what that fund does is that it serves as a backstop. You know, when we start an electricity market, there are times when you do the infrastructure, but the market has not come in yet. Every business goes through what they call a J curve. You've invested, the services are there, but the customers are not coming. So that backstop, the fund acts as a backstop to make sure that the investors are covered through that J curve period. And once people see that it's working, customers know that we won't have disruptions because this could say we don't have money. Simply because if you have set up for 10,000 customers and you need 200 have signed up, you have infrastructure for 10,000 everywhere. So we need to get through that period. So that payment assurance will be very critical at the onset. And it also serves the market when there are disruptions that could be an act of God, some furnace can break something down, and you just have to smoothen through those cracks that happen in business cycles anyway. The third approach would be leveraging on the speakers here, credit enhancement. We've heard from Infra Credit, we've heard from NSIP. These institutions are already established in Nigeria, working well in other parts of the country. They can certainly provide a credit enhancement and bring the cost of capital down as investors are coming into Ibom. And that can further support a transparent ecosystem where investors can know, actually, if I put my money here, I can see line of sight to how I get my return. And then people like Savannah can come into the market and invest more payments. We already have what I call a credible regulatory and legal environment. But being able to enforce your rules is important. Many times, Nigeria is suffering with many laws, regulation, and rules. The biggest challenge is enforcement. If someone is in breach, you need to be able to deal with that appropriately according to the rule. I'm not saying that regulators should be a policeman, but regulators cannot obviously see the participants of the market, breaching religiously and then refuse to give those signs. Because what that invites is for other people to go ahead and breach that way. And then lastly, transparency and collection. We can't run an electricity market, and I agree with get back and say, with the idea that, God, I promise you I'll pay my bill. No, everybody should go to prepaid meters. I live in an apartment block in Lagos. We have many problems with many of our residents not paying their bills. And these are billionaires. Remind you, this apartment is embodied of this. Yeah, but as president of the Housing Association, I changed the meter and put everybody on prepaid meters. And you know what? We designed it for you to switch off on Friday evening if you haven't paid your bill. And in no time, within a year, there's peace and orderliness because people know if I don't pay, I won't get light. And no more discussions. So everybody was going to prepay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm just allowing more basic comments before.
Let me thank Ike for stepping in the line of duty to advise us. I take notes of all the things you said. But in addition, I just like to draw attention to the law. The law is intention to protect investors and guarantee collection and payment. In our law, we have an emergency fund. We're going to ignite that and create an oasis of fund that would assure players that yes, collection shouldn't be an issue. In our law, we also have provision for tax incentives. We protect the investment and giving you some in terms of those tax incentives, and we're allowed to have a comparative advantage over states that we have fought that way. Also, in our law, we have a procedural rule for the regulator. We have zero tolerance against energy theft. I think that is very important because this culture of entitlement culture has permeated even up to the upper class. I was told by a PhD guy that the places where you have the most of these theft incidents is in the brown area. They have licenses and they can spend a few amount of money to keep the enforcers happy by the energy theft control. So we're going to go after them. We're going to also engage, of course. The issue here is that when people know that there is availability, also doesn't need power to run this company if you have the patient living in the house. So putting all of this together, which is why His Excellency had from the beginning said we will not move until we have a market that is transparent, that is promising investors that this is the best place to put the money in this country. Return cash flow is important for us. I came to this conference thumping up abundance of energy assets in our state. I have been convinced beyond reasonable doubt that we must convert abundance into supply. Supply into potential, I think it was earlier than random theory. Prosperity into power. And power, I will add, into investment. Because if the investment is not there, all of those chain reaction are just academic. So we're very much enlightened about digital ahead of us. And we assure our investors that yes, there is guarantee for payment, guarantee for investment, and we can only issue a clarion call come for our ready. Thank you.
Sides for a lot of these comments, and I noticed that Dr. actually the sort of indicating the political power sector today. That's the set of our recognition of the structure. We have our points of this group. I must say that's one of the most successful initiatives, and I can tell you that what you want to add to that is the showing that the generation companies are aware of that security there, and therefore should not require the principles to provide additional security for taking power from them. And once they're going for it, why do they do that? Like, why do they take people from are things that we need to look into, and I'm sure replicating some of the mistakes we made at the federal level. But thank you very much, Mr. Thank you also for your comments. So I'm going to ask each one of us one last question in quick succession, starting with John, of course. And it's what new level shifts across the legislative value chain should Akwa Ibom State Legislative Regulation Commission focus on in the next 12 to 18 months? So give me two new level shifts that you think they should just, these are the first two things you think we should first of all do as the Regulation Commission. I don't think they put one together yet, but I'm sure in the next couple of weeks we will be going through the Regulation Commission. And I hope all friends will be taking and selecting those who are going to be on that commission. Let's go to the second one. Thank you.
Okay, so I think the initial one of the Regulatory Commission would be the market essentially designing the markets, right? But I think that that's one of the benefits. I think the low-hanging fruits which might not necessarily, which is really crucial. I think it also goes back to my first point about being able to put power into power experience. It's important for the transmission process to be fixed, right? And that requires quite significant engagement between federal and some national and the states to be able to work through that. I mean, the second just said the way to form the transmission network. If you do that, and you need to remember the investment, so there needs to be a real, just transfer and so how do you what would be said to bring the private investment in or find a mechanism for that to be addressed and actually get elections for the and get into the cluster and get into the school. That way, I'm able to increase sort of payments to the power, which also increase payments that can go to the gas generator as well. And also to the gas supply as well. So that's one very important aspect that must be looked at. But that also translates to, I guess, the other points around being able to also address the issues in the school. But in addition to on-grid issues, I think let's go on with food as we have off-grid. So we look at the normally said last year, but I really to focus on off-grid increasing energy access. I think being able to identify clusters where I look at that you also do have, for example, gas vessels. It's not just solar. Maybe opportunities for solar, opportunities for gas for there. Maybe there's opportunities for hydrogen. Being able to identify and prepare that and how kind of mini-grid assets, different types that you can connect to the market and then they can be connected with the grid as well to increase energy access. And you have the regulator that has the opportunity to be able to ensure a commercially viable market with different patterns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just two more
ahead of the Regulatory Commission, for me, my hanging fruit is get the commission independent and professionalized. Yes, we didn't know ahead of this summit, but it shouldn't be weeks. It should be days. Because everything revolves around the kind of people that you have. Two, it must be I want to agree with you, and that's why I want to move the last week. Let's keep running. Mobile line distribution is very, very important. I was listening to the presentation by Daniel, and they do a lot of public works around small estates and companies, industrial parks and all that. We have an array of industrial parks, places that have been open, and because they will contribute a lot. And we can do that they say. When first your mini grids embedded in the national framework, that's really one big area that the electricity commission can get started on once it's empowered. Because this, because that's easy. I just get into that very quickly. Second one is, I was going to say pilot, cost reflective, but I mean, is market reflective tariffs in industrial and commercial hubs. Again, those are accepted. Again, looking at what I know said about the industry requesting, we can have this in clusters and be able to say these are the tariffs we're offering, and we want to see private investments coming into these areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Probably quickly, 2 points, 2 low-hanging fruits.
2 low-hanging fruits. Low-hanging fruit number 1 is prioritization criteria. It must be immediately apparent to everyone, even for rural implementation, how they're going to prioritize which communities they want, which level their politics will come. So the first thing the Commission has to do is make it clear to everybody how the government is working. It is not there to respect which communities possess the economic power. If you don't do that, it will fail. So the Commission has to say there is either an option process, which communities are ready to be the highest. If you don't do it and everybody is the same, it will fail. That's number 1. Number 2 is what we say is how do we create that tariff structure that allows everything to work? That tariff structure that is firm and that will give comfort to investors that there is a market. If there is no tariff structure that works, there is no market, there is no investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pablo.
Thank you very much. I think this the last point was such that we can have a structure for the state, and the second part is actually just announcing the clear effective structure that we will get goods and market goods. I think that is very important.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for listening and joining us. I hope you were able to get 1 or 2 points. I'd like to thank all the panelists for their time. I want to thank the presenters as well for their time. And I want to thank the Akwa State Government for this huge opportunity. We don't take it for granted at all. We wish Akwa State the very best. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please applaud our panelists and the moderator, of course. We'd like to take some photographs with the moderator and the panelists down here. Could you please come just down here in front? Mr. Daniel Muller, please, could you join them, and Dr. Paul Oluipe. Dr. Paul Oluipe and Mr. Daniel Muller, please join up here for the photographs. Her Excellency, our Deputy Governor, while that is ongoing, I'd like to inform us that immediately after the photographs, we shall be embarking on a tea break for just a few minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Wala, Kondotiri, Engineer Pade Diwote, and the others. Ladies and gentlemen, please, we shall embark on a tea break.
Thank you, the band. Your Excellency, we welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, may we stand for the national anthem. Please, may we remain standing for the state anthem. Please, may we take our seats. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the closing ceremonies of the Akwa Ibom State Electricity Summit 2025 with the theme Fulfilling the Promise of Reliable, Affordable, and Universal Access to Electricity in our dear state. It is my pleasure now to ask that we all put our hands together and welcome our dear Governor, His Excellency, Pastor Umoina, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We welcome you and we are delighted to have you. We had done exhaustive recognitions of all dignitaries before now, but just finally, ladies and gentlemen, can we please applaud our dear Deputy Governor who has been with us all through since morning, Her Excellency Senator Akun Eyayi. Thank you very much. We salute and welcome representatives of their Excellencies, Governors of Cross River State, Governor of Enugu State, and of course, Governor of Abia State. We thank you so much for staying here with us. Thank you so very much. Your Excellency, I'd like to quickly now invite the Secretary to Akwa Ibom State Government, Prince Enobonwa, to please present a roadmap on electricity security for Akwa Ibom State. The SSG, please.
Your Excellency, our leader, Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umo Basi Eno. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor and Chairman of this particular, the planning of this event. Your Excellency, I applaud you for your resilience. Thank you, ma, for being here all the way. The representative of the Honorable Minister, representatives of state governors, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, it's been 2 days of great discourse, 2 days of great engagement. And yesterday when you were speaking, Your Excellency, you said after the discourse, we should go to site. Your Excellency, we're about to go to site. But before I read the highlights of what has happened here in the last 2 days, I'd like to thank all our panelists, all our discussants, all our moderators for a job well done. And just like in building, you know, the architects will finish the architectural drawings and hand them over to the project managers. The architects do not run away and leave the project managers. So we ask of you, the professionals, not to just dump this discourse, this robust engagement on us and run away. You have to be with us all the way. I assure you, the Akwa Ibom State government, under the able leadership of Pastor Moino, is ready to tackle this in all fronts. Our objectives are basically to establish Akwa Ibom State as a major Nigeria energy hub, achieve energy security and universal access in the state, thus drastically reducing the cost and increase the ease of doing business in Akwa Ibom State. Of course, we want to develop an efficient state electricity value chain on-grid and off-grid, and drive exponential socioeconomic growth and development in Akwa Ibom State. I'd like to list the pillars of the activities, or what I can call action, going forward from here. Of course, first of all, State Electricity Policy 2024 and Electricity Law 2025 are now live. We are going to establish two key institutions: the Akwa Ibom State Electricity Regulatory Commission, to set fair and cost-effective tariffs, issue licenses, and regulate the market. We'll also set up the Akwa Ibom State Electrification Agency, of course, to expand electricity access across the state. This is the foundation of our homegrown electricity market. Of course, we are going to build strong institutions. Staff of the Regulatory Commission and the Electricity Agency will be trained with support from DFIs, the World Bank, FDB, and I'd like to thank the MD of REA, who has been with us all the way. We believe that with this, your strong presence, we will come to you and we'll come to you. Thank you, sir. We are going to create a state electrification fund to finance the work of AKSEA. We will map out all unserved and undeserved communities to make sure no one is left behind, and accountability for the fund is transparent. Thirdly, we establish our electricity market. The Regulatory Commission will develop an effective transition plan for the gradual takeover of electricity regulation in the state from NERC. The Ibom Power Company and the Ibom Utility Company will receive state licenses. The Regulatory Commission will consider and determine the possibility and timing of separating the distribution wire business from the sale and customer care business. We're introducing simpler rules for renewable energy and mini-grid operators to attract investors. Of course, we intend to expand infrastructure through partnerships. Our power plants and networks will be domesticated to serve primarily our home market, and of course they'll be rehabilitated and expanded. For example, earlier on today, somebody was saying that the meters have to be smart. We're going to roll out smart meters that are easy to install by consumers themselves, modern billing, and better customer service systems as soon as possible. Through PPPs, we will raise capital, protect consumers, and start to grow businesses. We also power every community. The state electrification plan begins immediately, targeting rural and hard-to-reach areas. We aim for 50% of undeserved communities to be electrified by 2027. This one is important, and I believe we'll do it. By 2024, every household in Akwa Ibom will have access to electricity. Protecting consumers. A consumer bill of rights will be published, setting out clear service standards and customer responsibilities. Complaints will be handled fairly and transparently. And of course, electricity theft and vandalism will be punished under the new law. The seventh pillar will be driving renewable energy and green growth. By 2034, 20% of our power will come from renewable sources like solar, wind, and biomass. Renewable energy producers will have cost-reflective tariffs and fair access to the grid. And of course, we'll actively support local jobs, skills, and manufacturing in renewable technologies. Monitoring progress, staying accountable. We'll monitor and report on the execution of the action program through the state project delivery mechanism. A market implementation team led by the consultant to the state electricity sector reform program will drive day-to-day delivery. We will publish semi-annual progress reports so the people of Akwa Ibom State can hold us accountable. We recognize that while a 10-year vision is vital, the activity of the early stage, especially within the first 2 years, must be intensely focused. Thus, from the 8 pillars that I've mentioned above, we distill the following. My brother, Dr. Okoha, earlier on said some of these timelines are too long. Maybe from here you see that they are not going to be that long. The first one is laying the legal and policy foundations. Of course, publishing and explaining the state electricity policy and law and the launch of comprehensive public awareness campaigns has already started. Then, what he mentioned before, the establishment of the regulator and the electrification agency. Of course, I know His Excellency has already put plans for this to happen almost immediately. And we're going to secure technical assistance from donors and DFIs. And this is between now and 6 months. Second one is institutional capacity and market transition. This is within 3 to 12 months. We're going to recruit and train the regulatory agency and the electrification agency staff in licensing, regulation, and electrification planning. Of course, we'll start preparing for the Akwa Ibom Integrated Resource Plan and establish criteria and start mapping all unserved and undeserved communities. We'll create the Akwa Ibom State Electrification and Metering Fund with seed capital and donor support. And of course, prepare a roadmap for transitioning regulatory authority from NERC to AKSERC with formal engagement at the federal level. Also, restructuring the market and key institutions between month 0 and 18 months. Establish the Akwa Ibom State Distribution Company, AKS Disco, with state majority ownership. Complete technical, commercial, and regulatory due diligence reviews of Ibom Power Company and AKS Disco. Also issue interim licenses to IPC and AKS Disco, followed by substantive licenses after restructuring. We take an executive decision on the divestiture model of IPC and Akikop equity in AKS Disco. Of course, execute the approved divestiture. Building infrastructure and expanding access between the months 4 to 18. We begin rehabilitation of Ibom Power Company, upgrade AKS Disco's distribution network metering, billing, vending, and of course, customer service. Develop and secure approval for the Akwa Ibom off-grid electrification plan. Launch pilot demonstrator renewable energy and mini-grid projects under the state electrification plan. Market design and consumer protection, months 6 to 18. Research electricity tariff methodology and develop templates. Establish framework for bilateral contracting between state utilities and customers. Strengthen licenses of off-grid and renewable operators to attract private investment. Publish and enforce a consumer bill of rights and responsibilities. Crack down very strongly on electricity theft and vandalization. Expected outcomes from the early stage activities, of course, our institutions, the Regulatory Commission and the Electricity Agency will be fully operational. Clear transition path from NERC to AKSERC regulation. Akwa Ibom electricity market operational with licensed utilities. Rehabilitation and expansion of key generation and distribution assets. Pilot renewable and off-grid projects powering unserved and undeserved communities. Consumer protection framework safeguarding rights of Akwa Ibom people. What are the critical success factors? 1, constant and unshakable political will and commitment. Importance of salesmanship and marketing Akwa Ibom's USPs to accessing capital and TA. Executive implementation capacity. Appreciation of the huge importance of simultaneous sequentiality. Our shared vision. Overall, with this action program, even from these early stage actions, power will no longer be a barrier to growth in Akwa Ibom. Industries will flourish, businesses will thrive, and homes will enjoy reliable electricity. By leading the way, Akwa Ibom will become Nigeria's model subnational electricity market. Together, we are building a brighter, stronger, and fully powered future for Akwa Ibom State. I'll now go and present this to the chairman of the planning committee, who will further present these action plans to His Excellency the Governor. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Prince Enobonwa, Secretary to Akwa Ibom State Government. Her Excellency, our dear Deputy Governor, now presents the Summit Action Plan to His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Ladies and gentlemen, please applaud the political will of our state government.
Thank you, the brass band. Thank you so much. Your Excellency and Your Excellencies, it's been 2 long days, but I think all the hours spent here are worth it. The idea is that when we move from this summit and do all the things that have just been outlined by the Secretary to the State Government, I'm sure that Akwa Ibom State would have fulfilled, as it were, the objectives of this summit. Your Excellency, we have come to what I would call the El Dorado, where we would hear from you for the very last time in this Akwa Ibom Electricity Summit for the year 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, let me therefore invite all of us to please accept to put our hands together, celebrate and welcome His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, the host, convener of this electricity summit. Continue to celebrate our leader and our governor. Thank you.
Please, let's be seated. Thank you. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State and Chairman of this Electricity Summit, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to celebrate you for your doggedness and the good work you and your team have done. Please join me celebrate our Deputy Governor. Thank you for your support. The representatives of my brother governors that are here, that are still here with us, Cross River, Abia, Bayelsa, Enugu, all of you, we celebrate you. Thank you so much for giving us a shoulder to lean on. Some of you are ahead of us, and we have learned a lot these 2 days. That's been good. The hall is still full. I see the appetite. Everyone still wants to give. It shows that it's a burning issue for everybody. I'm seeing players in the electricity or power industries, as it were, fully here. I thank all of you. Distinguished senators and members of the National Assembly, both serving and former. The representative of the Honorable Minister, I told you your presence here speaks volume, and we thank you. Please, let's celebrate the representative of the Honorable Minister from Abuja. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the DG of our campaigns, thank you so much, sir, for making your presence felt. Principal officers and members of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, thank you so much for all that you have done, working with us to ensure that we continue to deliver the dividend of democracy to our people. The Secretary to Government, Head of the Civil Service, the Executive Assistant to the Governor, thank you for the work you have done in delivering this. The entire ESCO members that are here, of course, I wouldn't expect that any Executive Council member will be anywhere else other than here these 2 days. I want to thank you. I'm sure you have enjoyed the robust discussion. Delivery advisors, I can see a whole lot of you here, and we want to thank you. The MD of the Rural Electrification Agency, thank you so much. Fortunately, I missed your presentation, but I watched it online. You're always good at your work, and I like the way you own. I'm looking forward to a day. I know my Commissioner for Power is greatly energized, and very soon we'll be talking like you talk, and we'll be speaking kilowatts, off-grid, on-grid, underserved. To be honest, you are really, for me, you are a round peg in a round hole. When I see the passion you bring to the work you do, and I thank Mr. President for identifying you. All of the team led by team and members of United Nations, Nigeria Infrastructure, professional organizations, corporate bodies, service commanders, chairman and MD of Ibom Power, other chairmen of boards and commissions, permanent secretaries that are here, heads of extra-ministerial departments, chairman of Ikore local government, and other chairmen that are here with us, senior citizens, critical stakeholders in the power sector, all of you that have been here since yesterday. I'm sure by now you know we're ready. And for those of you who want to build your plans or your solar panels, and my brother is here, I am giving you that land right away. But we must agree when you are coming on ground. You know, we have an industrial park right in the center of Uyo, and we will allocate to people who are ready to come on the ground. We will energize the park and make sure that any of you is ready, I'm here, and we mean business. So the MD of REA will know that we're serious, you know. But when we allocate land to you, if you don't come on ground within 6 months, the CFO automatically is cancelled, you know. Thank you so much. Senior citizens, critical stakeholders that are here, all of our presenters, all of our discussants, especially invited guests, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm. Let me thank our consultant who has worked very hard to put this together, put him under pressure. Let's salute Mr. Akwa for the wonderful work he has done. Thank you so much. Thank you. There's a young lady that I finally met yesterday. She leaves schools in the United Kingdom, but she sent me a lot of information, in fact, until yesterday I thought she was a man, to be honest, because, you know, that's she, Engineer Kemini Umo. Thank you so much for all of your thoughts, all of the work you've put in, all of your advisory, and I hope you find reason to join our team and work with us. I understand you are doing your PhD now, but I like the interest. I like each time on my mail, you write all of the things we should do, what we should not do, the things. I love those wonderful engagements. And so yesterday when the Honorable House Member representing Sirubium and the Leader of the House introduced you to me and said, this is a Kemini. And he said, but you have always thought he's a man. She's a woman. You know. And that endears me to you much more because for a young lady, you're interested in the power sector, but not just that you're interested, you're actually in it, and you bring very wonderful advisory. And each time when I was sending your mails to my executive assistant, I said, there's a young man that has been engaging me. I want you to make sure you look for him and let him come and join your team. So when I met you yesterday, I just needed to thank you for coming all the way. I'm sure you sponsored yourself to come here. I've asked the executive assistant to ensure that they give you a return ticket. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's the kind of team spirit, that's the kind of spirit I expect to see from our people, that you can engage and we just can talk about the subjects, the issues, And she can show so much interest and had to travel all the way to be here without asking for tickets or anything. And I'm really, really inspired. This makes you to know that the greater people out there encourages us and keep giving advisory. They are not loud on the internet. They are not loud on WhatsApp criticizing without solutions, just criticizing. And so when we find people like that, we are deeply, deeply encouraged. Yesterday, when she sent me a mail and I looked at my mail right in this hall, she didn't even tell me she was here. She said, please don't, Your Excellency, don't make the mistake of going to the market without setting up your structures. This will fall flat to the ground. Make sure the structures are in place, you test the structures. And I said to her, I wish, right in this hall, I responded, I wish you are in the summit. She said, I'm right here. And I said, okay. I told her, and then I said, thinking him, I'd love to see you in the course of the summit. And that's the kind of engagement that helps. We are not infallible. We are human beings. You can't know everything, but together, like we've done these 2 days, we can distill knowledge, we can work together, we can deliver an action plan, and we can together forge ahead. So when we succeed, we all take the glory for it. And like the Commissioner of Police, was it the Commissioner of Police or somebody said in one event, was it here? I think it was my brother. You said it yesterday, that if you say something wrong, you take responsibility. But if it is right, the governor is right. So, but together we can take, but if it goes wrong, I take responsibility, So we thank God. On that lighter note, I'd like to thank all of you. Join my voice with that of the Secretary to Government. I'm speaking the voice and the mind of the Deputy Governor to thank all of you for these 2 days, sitting at one location. All our investors that came, all of you that have been here for 2 days, shows that this is serious, serious business. I'd like to thank you. And because of you and the generosity of Akwa Ibom people, by the grace of God, we will not fail. Today, as we draw this historic summit to a close, I am proud to say we're already moving from vision to action. The Secretary to Government has just read out an action plan, which is what I really requested for yesterday. Let me thank all the invited guests, especially my brother governors who sent their representatives. The Honorable Minister of Power, who equally was represented. Let me thank, very glowing terms, the Deputy Governor, who worked tirelessly with the consultant, and indeed all the power stakeholders who responded to our invitation and made robust contributions to our march towards providing electricity for all in our dear state. We now have in place a state electricity policy 2024 and a state electricity law 2025. These are not just documents, they are compass that will guide every decision and every investment we will make. We have agreed from the point, the action plan that the SSG read, we have agreed to set up 2 critical institutions within the next 1 month. The Akwa Ibom State Electricity Regulatory Commission, to provide fair tariffs, transparent licensing, and independent oversight. And the Akwa Ibom State Electrification Agency to deliver electricity access to our towns, villages, and underserved communities. Like I said, this will be within the next 1 month. It can be tomorrow, it can be next week, but the timeline will not exceed 1 month, and they will be made up of pure professionals. This is not politics. Today, together, these two institutions will represent the legal and institutional backbone of the Akwa Ibom State electricity market. The question then is, what are the immediate priorities in our first 2 years? I have seen the work plan and we will hold clearly to it. But we are clear that while our ambition is long-term, we must set the ball rolling immediately. We are establishing the State Electricity Agency, and where Akwa Ibom State will staff the agency, will train the staff, and make sure that they stick to standards. But let me use this opportunity, therefore, to invite all qualified technical personnel with skills to apply for employment through our RISE portal. I can't stress enough the fact that this is purely a professional assignment and therefore has no political coloration. The recruitment will be done transparently with only those who are technically qualified. We will rehabilitate and immediately commercialize Ibom Power Company. That is something we have taken away from this summit. Ibom Power Company must be commercialized, and we are prepared to start that process immediately. And we will roll out the first phase of our state electrification plan, bringing sustainable electricity access to the unserved and underserved communities. We will publish and enforce a customer bill of rights, ensuring fair treatment for all customers, accountability by licensees, and protection of electricity assets against vandalism and theft. Again, we want to begin immediately to pilot renewable energy projects. We want to ensure, for starters, that at least 20% of our future power will come from clean sources, working with the REA. And these promises will start. The rapporteur's report has shown us the richness of the conversations we have had. They've been frank, forward-looking, and inclusive. It has captured the concerns of investors, the insights of experts, and the aspiration of our people. We have listened, we have learned, and we will act. But let me stress that success will not come from government alone. It will come from partnerships with the private sector and, of course, with the federal government, whose presence here these 2 days shows their willingness and availability to partner, to guide, to collaborate, and to work with us as we travel these paths. It will take the collaboration of the Akwa Ibom people. With this Akwa Ibom State Electricity Action Program, therefore, we make a promise that we'll work hard and purposefully to ensure that electricity availability will no longer be a barrier to growth in Akwa Ibom State. My charge to all of us, government officials, investors, civil societies, and our citizens is simple. Let us own this vision. Let us make contribution rather than just criticize to tear apart. Let us be like Ekemini, who from far away United Kingdom will make her thoughts known, will give advisory, and will want to see power function in our place of birth. This is the only way we can grow this together. To our journalists, let us seek to ask the right questions. Let us give the right support to those that will have the onerous task of birthing this vision. To birth anything new is always difficult. The best we can do is to encourage those that will have that responsibility. We promise to work with them, and we know that all of us working together will achieve results. As I said at the beginning, when we electrify Akwa Ibom, we energize every childhood dream, every enterprise, every hospital, every farm, every home. The Honorable Commissioner for Power, the consultant, and the boards of the two agencies to be set up will brief me on a monthly basis on milestone achieved. As a matter of fact, you automatically form part of the delivery team, and you know we meet monthly. So we'll take this as part of your brief. We'll take your briefing every month to see how we are ticking the box. Your job is cut out for you already. I will give you all the support you need. We cannot afford to let Akwa Ibomites down. We cannot afford to bring all of this caliber of people in the last 2 days and make them not clap and say, we did well. We have all the resource we need. We'll come back to you. And even at the federal level, the ministry, our colleagues, other states that have gone ahead of us, will consult widely. Please, we hope you will always make your doors open for us. In closing, we leave this hall tonight inspired, determined to walk the talk, to arise to the renewed hope of providing power to our Akwa Ibom State. We are energized, ready, and our sleeves are rolled up to work for our Akwa Ibom people. May the Almighty God bless us and make our dream and vision come to reality. In Jesus' mighty name. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you a safe journey back to your different destinations. God bless Akwa Ibom. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, the brass band, please. Thank you, Your Excellency. Just before we close with the anthem, the chairperson, planning committee, has asked me to announce that dinner lunch, that dinner lunch is ready and served. So please, as we leave here, we'll just go have dinner Mommy, let it be dinner. We'll go have dinner. All right, and that will be it. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, as I invite us to rise, for the national anthem, which is how we close. Please, can we rise? Can we rise? Your Excellency, let me reiterate the words of an American industrialist and automobile engineer, Henry Ford, who said that when we move forward together, success takes care of itself. I trust that as we move forward together, the universal power for all Akwa Ibom citizens would take care of itself.